Born in Rohive, South London, on March 14, 1933, Michael Caine was raised in a working-class household in Britain during the war. The hardships of World War II, including being evacuated from London, had a significant impact on his early years. Later, these early setbacks strengthened the fortitude and self-control that characterized his acting career. At 92, Caine has come to the age where he no longer conceals his experiences, especially the challenging co-workers he had over his lengthy career in movies. He recently made his first public appearance in a wheelchair after retiring in 2023. A moment that touched fans deeply and brought attention to the realities of aging and deteriorating health was supported by close buddy Vin Diesel. After breaking his ankle in a tumble in 2018, Caine's health problems started. He was later diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which required extensive surgery in 2022. He used a cane at first, then a walking frame, and finally a wheelchair. He continues to be open and elegant in spite of these difficulties, looking back on life honestly rather than fearfully. Shortly after completing his last movie, The Great Escaper, 2023, he announced his retirement. Caine acknowledged that filming had become physically taxing at 90 and that he could hardly do more than one take each scene. Nevertheless, he gave a dignified performance that was a fitting end to an incredible career. In his final red carpet appearance, Caine displayed both the aging process and the ageless charm that made him a superstar. Instead than fading away into jobs that no longer suited his grandeur, he made the respectful decision to retire. He collaborated with innumerable performers during his career, but not all of them were easy. Caine has disclosed, either explicitly or covertly, that a few. Many co-stars were especially challenging because of their ego, unpredictable nature, or unprofessional conduct. These encounters turned into unforgettable periods in his life that influenced his opinions about respect and trust in movies. Even now, Caine talks openly about growing older, dying, and finding serenity after leading a fulfilling life with his wife, kids, and grandkids. Mickey Rooney and Michael Caine had one of the most unexpected confrontations in Hollywood. A shock to many considering Rooney's long-standing status as a popular, endearing persona with decades of professional experience. The two shared numerous moments while filming the 1972 movie Pulp, which sparked their enmity. Rooney, a well-known celebrity with a vibrant personality, was occasionally erratic on set. Rooney's actions were a major factor in Caine's later description of the days of Pulp as challenging. There were moments when I thought I was acting more like a storm than an actor. In an interview, Caine claimed that Rooney's tendency to alter his lines and break the cadence of a scene contrasted with Caine's painstaking preparation. I don't comprehend why, despite our agreement on a script, he always wants to do things his own way, Caine replied, his voice still abrasive. Caine's memories of Rooney are a mixture of admiration and frustration. He was a talented actor, but working with him was like trying to ride a wild horse, Caine joked in another interview, acknowledging his talent and pointing out that Rooney was not shy. Michael always wanted things to be in a certain way. I believe in instinct and spontaneity. Sometimes they just don't match. Out his difficulties. Michael Caine frequently expressed admiration for Olivier's extraordinary talent, but that didn't stop him from acknowledging the pressure of sharing the screen with such a towering legend. The conflict between these two personalities is a clear example of how fame and talent in Hollywood never guarantee harmony, and the quiet confrontations can sometimes leave a deeper mark than the best shots. Early in the 1970s, Caine felt the weight of Olivier's reputation firsthand. Olivier approached the set as though it were his own stage, carrying an authority that demanded reverence rather than collaboration. Although Caine was still a rising star at the time, he had to deal with the sharp edges of his co-stars' personalities. Working with Olivier was both inspiring and exhausting, Caine said in an interview. He didn't just act. He wanted to control every breath on. Off-screen, the dynamic was not much different. Olivier represented the height of British theatre, while Caine, from a working-class background, was the outsider trying to establish himself. The script positioned them as equals, but Michael is ambitious, but he needs to learn to respect the rhythm of someone who has been on stage for more than 40 years. Sleuth revolved around a psychological battle between an older dominant intellect and a younger determined challenger. Olivier's commanding presence frequently overshadowed everything on set. Crew members later recalled Olivier asking for several retakes, sometimes as a subtle assertion of control rather than out of a pursuit of perfection. To put it more bluntly, Caine stated that Olivier wanted to play the entire game rather than just act. Ironically, that tension lit up the screen, giving Sleuth an electric chemistry that earned him Academy Award nominations and critical acclaim. But behind the scenes, Olivier's relentless control left little space for Caine to express himself. Acting was a collaborative, shared experience for Caine, but it felt out of balance with Olivier because, as Caine reflected, Olivier was a giant and giants cast huge shadows. Olivier also acknowledged, "Michael challenged me more than anyone else, and I liked it, even if it was sometimes unbearable." Caine's admiration and tiredness, as well as his injuries and brilliance, were mixed together after working with Olivier. It served as a striking reminder that exceptional talent may inspire profoundly even when it requires more than others around it can readily provide. 3. Sylvester Stallone. When Michael Caine signed on to star in Victory in the early 1980s, he had a vision of a gritty wartime ensemble based on unity, trust, and a common goal. However, he soon found himself at odds with Sylvester Stallone, who had just made Rocky a hit and seemed intent on making the entire movie revolve around his own character. Caine later acknowledged that the true tension on the set was Stallone's ego. Stallone pushed to dominate every scene, reshaping the story so that his American goalkeeper became the main hero. "Michael is a consummate professional," Stallone acknowledged in another interview. "I expected teamwork, but sometimes it felt like the movie belonged to him alone," Caine said in an interview. "The friction between them was quiet but persistent. Audience to feel my character's journey. Perhaps I went too far at times." Crew members remembered the tension as Caine's cool exterior concealed mounting annoyance at the changing scripts and attention-grabbing scenes. Looking back, Caine said, "It was supposed to be about the team. It was about one man all of a sudden." Caine played the exhausted strategic officer, the silent mastermind behind the escape plot, while Stallone pushed for stunts, heroic shots, and individual victories. The conflict of styles produced subtle but constant tension on set, a battle between group storytelling and solo showmanship. Regarding Caine, Stallone said in a subsequent interview, "He has incredible discipline and focus. I appreciated that, even though it occasionally went against my style." Despite the underlying conflict, Caine never let his professionalism falter. He didn't raise his voice or leave the set. He adjusted while adhering to his collaborative principles. However, even his renowned patience was put to the test as Stallone's obsession with the film's intended ensemble balance was gradually thrown off balance by heroics. Years later, Caine praised the film's premise, its camaraderie, and his work with Max von Sydow, but his tone sharpened whenever Stallone's name was mentioned. "Some actors act as though cinema is theirs alone, but Caine said it never is." In the end, Victory became more than just a football and war movie for Caine, a vivid lesson in how ego can turn teamwork into tension and how sometimes the best course of action is to 4. Marilu Henner. Working with Marilu Henner on Noises Off was one of the most difficult collaborations Michael Caine had ever had. Known for her sharp comedic instincts and strong work ethic, Henner frequently brought an intensity that Caine found overwhelming, and her propensity to voice strong opinions about scene structure, comedic timing, and even the delivery of other actors' lines quickly became a source of tension. Marilu has amazing instincts, but sometimes it felt like she was directing the entire rehearsal, Caine acknowledged in a later. Henner's assertiveness occasionally felt intrusive to Caine, a seasoned actor with decades of experience in both comedy and drama. As a farce, which depends on precise timing, coordinated physical chaos, and seamless ensemble work, any minor argument could upset the delicate rhythm, and the conflict between Henner's forceful style and Caine's disciplined approach frequently created a subtle tug-of-war during rehearsals and filming. Henner, looking back on their dynamic, said, "Michael is a master of timing and control. I didn't push him to undercut him, I just did it to make the situations pop." In another interview, Caine stated, working with Marilu reminded me how crucial mutual respect is. Despite the laughter on screen, crew members recalled instances where disagreements over a line or a beat threatened to ruin a scene, but both actors remained professional. Without trust, anarchy cannot occur on stage, and sometimes that trust must be earned. Additionally, Henner spoke of Caine with admiration. He's patient, disciplined, and brilliant. Even when we clashed, I learned so much from him about precision and rhythm in comedy. Despite the underlying friction, the film was completed successfully and audiences responded warmly to its humor. Yet for Caine, the experience was a vivid lesson in the delicate balance required in ensemble performance. How strong personalities can ignite creative sparks, but also how misalignment, even subtle, can test the limits of collaboration. 5. Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters had a presence that could fill the entire room, and sometimes it felt like the room was all hers. Although Michael Caine rarely spoke negatively about other actors, his memories of working with her on Alfie stood out as one of the few exceptions. Winters came to the set with unquestionable skill and an equally formidable temperament, and Caine later described her fierce temper, impatience with younger performers, and tendency to dominate scenes with sheer force of will. Winters' portrayal of a wealthy American woman whose on-screen relationship with Alfie combined tension, allure, and confrontation was found to be at odds with his philosophy of subtle, collaborative acting. "She could charm you one moment and cut you down the next," Winters said. Michael is exact, disciplined, and witty. Caine acknowledged that trust on set was brittle with her. One day she might be warm, the next she would be impossible. Winters herself spoke of Caine with both respect and defiance. The role required careful timing, emotional restraint, and a balance of allure and conflict, but Winters' unpredictable nature often pulled Caine in a subtle tug-of-war during rehearsals and shoots. Crew members recalled moments when the air on set felt electric, charged with both comedic energy and underlying friction. However, at times, I exerted pressure on him because I wanted to own the scene, never to diminish him, only to elevate it. In a different interview, Caine observed that, "Talent without control is like fire without a hearth. It burns everything nearby, and occasionally Shell's fire came dangerously close to me." Despite these difficulties, both actors remained professional, and the movie was finished successfully. Although audiences enjoyed the performance, Caine was deeply affected by the behind-the-scenes struggle. For Caine, Winters symbolized the paradoxes of Hollywood itself, stunning talent mixed with disruptive chaos. Even as Caine reaches 92, he reflects on life and mortality with rare clarity and acceptance, surrounded by a loving family, and approaches the inevitability of death with calm gratitude informed by both personal loss, particularly helping his terminally ill father pass in 1955, and the delicate balance required in ensemble acting. Winters' brilliance was never in doubt, but her volatility ensured that every scene was as much a test of patience as it was of skill. Together, they created unforgettable moments on screen, but for me, it was a lesson in vigilance, adaptability, and the delicate balance required in ensemble acting. Decades of rich life experience. His philosophy, expressed in his 2024 memoir Don't Look Back, You'll Trip Over, My Guide to Life, emphasizes looking forward, appreciating connection, and embracing life's challenges with resilience. Despite age and its limitations, Caine radiates contentment, appreciating the extraordinary life and career he has lived, a life made richer even amid moments of on-set conflict with legends like Shelley Winters. Michael Caine's extraordinary career in film spans decades, continents, and an astounding array of collaborations that highlight both the genius and the challenges of working in Hollywood. His encounters with some of the greatest talents of his generation reveal a professional life marked not only by accolades and iconic performances but also by complex interpersonal dynamics that shaped his approach to acting and life itself. Looking back, one can see a thread running through Caine's journey, a deep respect for talent, an unwavering commitment to craft, and an acute awareness that collaboration, trust, and patience are as essential to a successful production as skill and creativity. Although the script positioned them as equals, the off-screen reality frequently skewed toward Olivier's authority. While his time with Laurence Olivier during the filming of Sleuth stands as a defining example, Olivier, a giant in British theatre and cinema, commanded every room he entered. Michael Caine, a rising star from a working-class background at the time, found himself navigating a set dominated by Olivier's imposing presence. Crew members recalled multiple retakes that seemed less about perfecting a scene and more about asserting control, a subtle psychological struggle between two actors with radically different styles. Olivier was a giant, he said, and giants cast enormous shadows. Olivier, for his part, acknowledged Caine's ambition and determination. Michael challenged me more than anyone else, and I liked it, even if it was sometimes unbearable. This professional friction, though challenging at times, contributed to the electric tension on screen that earned Sleuth critical acclaim and Academy Award nominations. It became a vivid lesson for Caine. Michael Caugh's experience working with Mickey Rooney on Pulp further emphasized the delicate balance between admiration and personal boundaries. Rooney, who was praised for his early stardom and vibrant personality, brought a creative energy that was occasionally unpredictable and disruptive. The conflict between Caine's meticulous preparation and Rooney's improvisational instincts created tension on set, forcing Caine to adapt quickly while maintaining his own standards of discipline. The lessons learned from Olivier were soon applied in navigating other difficult collaborations. He taught me how to hold my own without stifling the scene, highlighting the mutual influence even in moments of tension. These experiences solidified a pattern in Caine's career, the understanding that personal and professional chemistry is crucial and that the finest performances often emerge from the careful negotiation of clashing personalities. The 1980s brought new challenges with Sylvester Stallone on the film Victory. Caine said, working with him was like riding a wild horse, acknowledging both the talent and the difficulties of the partnership. Caine, a seasoned actor who appreciated the rhythm and balance of ensemble performance, found Stallone's approach disruptive. Entering the project, Caine envisioned a cohesive ensemble, a narrative driven by teamwork, trust, and shared purpose. Stallone, fresh off the success of Rocky, had a different vision, seeking to position his character as the film's focal point. The friction was never explosive, but simmered persistently, creating a quiet tension that pervaded the set. It was about one individual all of a sudden, Caine thought. Michael is a consummate professional, but I wanted the audience to feel my character's journey, Stallone said, acknowledging the conflict. Perhaps I went too far at times. The two actors' relationship brought to light a recurrent theme in Caine's career, the ongoing balancing act between personal aspirations and group narrative. Although the tension presented difficulties, it also demonstrated Caine's dedication to professionalism and his capacity to uphold artistic integrity in the face of divergent viewpoints. The farcical nature of the film necessitated precise timing, physical coordination, and seamless ensemble performance, elements that could be easily disrupted by assertiveness or spontaneous changes, and Caine's experiences with Marilu Henner during Noises Off were illuminating. Henner's tendency to influence scene structure, comedic timing, and the delivery of others' lines created a subtle tug-of-war dynamic. Marilu has amazing instincts, but at times it felt like she was directing the entire practice, Caine observed. Henner, considering their partnership, said, Michael is exact, disciplined, and astute. Even in our disagreements, he taught me a lot about rhythm and time. The idea that managing personalities is just as important to ensemble acting as delivering lines or hitting marks is reinforced by their professional dancing, which alternates between cooperation and conflict. The collaboration between Caine and Shelley Winters on Alfie offers yet another perspective on the challenges of managing exceptional yet erratic talent. Winters was a formidable performer with a strong temperament who infused the set with both genius and unpredictability. Although Caine greatly admired her, he found her aggressiveness and abrupt performance changes difficult. Winters' own words encapsulated the dichotomy of their relationship: I pushed Michael not to undermine him, but to elevate the scene, and sometimes that push clashed with his approach. Sheltery had a presence that could fill the entire room, and sometimes it felt like the room was all hers, he remarked. Their scenes on screen were full of conflict, tension, and attraction. Off-screen, Caine had to remain vigilant, flexible, and patient due to the unpredictability. Perhaps more than any other event, this one made Caine realize how crucial mutual respect, trust, and performance balance are. A distinct pattern shows up in all of these partnerships. The way Caine handled the conflict between his own methodical style and his co-star's different personalities had a significant impact on his career. Whether challenging Rooney's authority or Olivier's. Whether it was Winters' volatility, Stallone's ego, Henner's intensity, or unpredictability, Caine constantly displayed an exceptional blend of forbearance, flexibility, and strategic restraint. Every difficult collaboration served as a teaching tool for acting, human behavior, handling conflicting personalities, and maintaining one's own creative integrity. These encounters shaped Caine's larger outlook on life and death, going beyond the immediate demands of movie sets. He freely considered the certainty of death as he approached his 90s, saying, "With appreciation, clarity, and acceptance." He learned about hardship, resiliency, and the transient aspect of life from his experiences, which included the moving moment of assisting his dying father in 1955. He accepted death with a serene appreciation for the depth of his life rather than with fear. These thoughts are interwoven with his 2024 memoir, Don't Look Back, You'll Trip Over, My Guide to Life, which blends lessons learned from decades of both personal and professional experience with personal narrative. Caine's ideology places a strong emphasis on looking ahead, appreciating connections, and accepting obstacles with bravery and flexibility. Values that are clear in both his personal life and how he handles the frequently choppy waters of Hollywood. In conclusion, Michael Caine's career is an investigation into the relationship between skill, personality, and the human component of teamwork. His disputes with Olivier, Rooney, Stallone, Henner, and Winters show a man who is devoted to his work, incredibly patient, and able to plan strategically, but who is never insensitive to the needs or difficulties of others around him. These encounters shed light on the contradictory character of Hollywood. A place where exceptional talent can astound, inspire, and uplift, but where temperament, ego, and personal dynamics can make even the most straightforward works difficult. Caine offers priceless insights into the delicate balance needed to produce art in partnership with others through his comments, which are tempered by decades of observation and lived experience. Caine remained professional, upheld his artistic integrity, and finally created work that has endured through every conflict, argument, and uncomfortable moment. In addition to the films he made, his legacy is characterized by the teachings he imparts on negotiating relationships, accepting diversity, and maintaining composure in the face of chaos. Beyond the screen, these teachings impart knowledge that can be applied to anybody who wants to work well with others, handle conflict amicably, and lead a purposeful life. The line is obvious when Caine looks back on his life at the age of 92. He was able to succeed in a field characterized by exceptional intellect, a disciplined work ethic, flexibility, and emotional intelligence. Genius and erratic behavior. He values the lessons from war just as much as he does the ones from peace. His appreciation of his family, co-workers, and life's experiences shows a unique understanding and acceptance of the human condition. In addition to being a work of cinematic excellence, Caine's story demonstrates the fortitude, knowledge, and understanding that come with negotiating life's joys and hardships. His trip ultimately shows that while skill may open doors, it is patience, integrity, and an awareness of human complexity that enable one to pass through them gracefully and make a lasting impression. Enduring legacy.